Today is the 10th of March, and we're going to do one short sutta and one kind of mid-range sutta from volume 47, SD 47. The first sutta is SD 47.7, page 79, the Chora Raja Sutta, the discourse on thieves and kings. A 2.39, right? So A means Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Tools, Sutta 39. Notice the word Chora is still found in the Indian language today. Only thing is they pronounce as Chor today. Chor means robber. They drop off the last vowel by process of apocope. The Raja is king. This word has, spread all over Southeast Asia through Indianization. The royal houses still use the word king, Raja, or Raj in modern Indian language. Now, notice the title is what is called, it is in stem form. Chora Raja Sutta. Words in Indian languages, for example, Pali, they are like plants. You got the stem, you got the roots. The root is the basic element of the word. For example, the word Buddha, Bodhi, Bujjati, they all come from the same root. The root is Bud, B-U-D-H. Bud means to awaken, to understand. So that's the root, and then the stem is the word by itself, which is never used in grammar, but they form the basic element in the dictionary. So in the dictionary, you will list the words by their stem form. So stem form are very versatile. For example, Chora usually would be singular. Chora Raja is actually one word in Pali, but in English it's easier if you separate them. So Chora, depending on the context, you can translate as a thief, or in this case, we translate as plural, thieves. The sutta is not likely to be about a thief and a king. It's about thieves and kings, because we're talking about a general situation. All right, so the theme is good monks and bad monks affect one another and the world. So this is a short sutta. It's a very instructive sutta. Let me read the sutta and then explain it from there. The translation is on page 81. Chora Raja Sutta, the discourse on thieves and kings. A 2.39. Now you notice I always mention the reference number because it's good to go on mentioning the reference number so that we can remember it and the audience also can remember it for quick and easy identification of suttas. Because sometimes we like to know details of something we've heard. It's very interesting and our interest is still there. And it's good to quickly follow up, because you wait too long, you say, it's okay, it's not important now, right? So it's good to know either the sutta name or the sutta reference number, or where the sutta is located. All right, so this is where we have what's called the contrapuntal method, the counterpoint or mirror method. You have the sutta more or less divided into half. So the first half is subtitled When the Bad Are Powerful. And then you have the second half, When the Good Are Strong. So you have, the Buddha normally begins with something negative and then it goes on to talk about something positive. And you have they kind of reflect each other. So this is where, when the audience, Indian audience listen, they kind of will know, say, the Buddha is talking about this. Okay, they are familiar with this negative aspect. There are thieves around, and then the second part is something new to them, which they need to know. So from the known, the Buddha brings them to the unknown. I've finished working on the S54.20, which is the last sutta in SD54b. It is the Sakka Panha Sutta. And the sutta is about Sakra meeting the Buddha in the Indasala cave. Now, the Indasala cave is an actual place. It's a small cave, about 20 to 30 meters deep. It's located near the village of Giriek today, quite near to Rajagaha. And the Satapani cave is just the other side. So these caves were visited by the Chinese pilgrims too. So I've given a map there in my translation how to get there. The guidebook tells us, okay, how to go, which direction, how many kilometers, and so on and so forth. And then finally, the guide says, when you reach the end of the road, you have to walk in. And you're walking kind of like south and then west, But it says you have to be careful because the area, there are lots of robbers. It's a dangerous, well-known haunt for robbers. So I said, wow, it's like the Buddha's days. So when there are robbers, you begin to think twice about going to that place. You have to be prepared. So when robbers are powerful, then there are a lot of difficulties. So let's see what happens here when the bad are powerful. Verse 1. Bhikshus, at a time when thieves or bandits are powerful, the king is then weak. So notice here we have a relative strength. At that time, bhikshus, the king is not at ease when returning to the city or departing, or when out inspecting or supervising the country. So the king is worried wherever he goes. He goes out, he says, oh dear, will the robbers attack the city? Will the robbers attack me? And so on. At that time, bhikshus, the Brahmins and housemasters too, are not at ease when returning to the city or departing or when out attending to their work outside. Right? So the government is concerned, the people are concerned. Then the Buddha says, even so. Right? Whenever you see this, even so is a tag. It means the Buddha is going to change the tone or the tag of the teaching. Even so, bhikshus, at a time when bad monks are powerful, well-behaved monks are then weak. Right? So now the theme is different. Okay? At that time, bhikshus, the well-behaved monks only sit in silence in the midst of the sangha, or they resort to the outlying country. In other words, they live in solitude, they want their own quietly, it's very hard to meet them. This bhikshus is not for the good of the many, not for the happiness of the many, not for the benefit of the many, not for the good, but for the suffering of devas and humans. Notice, devas and humans. The Buddha's teaching covers both humans and beyond. So this is where we can kind of, hazard a guess. Why do the suttas always mention Deva Manusanang? Satta Deva Manusanang, the teacher of devas and humans. I think we're approaching an era, a time when we are reaching up to the moon, to Mars, and very soon beyond our solar system. I don't know whether in our lifetime, we'll get news that we have made contact. Some beings from Alpha Centauri, the nearest star, for example, might come and visit us. It's possible, isn't it? Now, when they do visit us, it'd be very interesting to ask them, what kind of religion do they practice? They might even ask you, what do you mean? What is religion? And so on. But you can imagine, if we have beings from other planets, other systems, aliens, are they going to have religions that are so superstitious like what we have, the God-believing religions, where they are based on some ancient history, some hatred, some war, and then they turn this into some god and so on. So the aliens be wondering, why are you worshipping all these things in the past, But when you come to Buddhism, it's different, because when you talk about impermanence, about suffering, Even aliens know that. As long as you exist, you know there is suffering, there is pain, there is death. No matter how long they live, they have to die. So I think that is why in the suttas the suttas are addressed not only to humans but also to devas. You can take on a provisional basis the devas as referring to aliens, if you like. After all, they are inhabiting another part of the heavens, the universe. And these are stories being told to people 2,500 years ago. And imagine another 2,500 years in the future, what kind of world are we living in? What kind of knowledge should they have then? It would be very interesting to see which religion will survive and become relevant and helpful to the society then. So devas and humans have a deep significance here. We're not just talking about aliens, we are talking about those who can understand and accept and benefit from the Buddha's teachings. So this is the negative aspect where bad thieves, when they predominate, there's little law and order or no law and order. So similarly, when there are lots of bad monks, then you find the good monks will be in a minority, and then they're not going to do much, right? So in a sense, you can say this is what's happening now, right? In a sense, but badness is quite tricky, It's very sophisticated now because we don't call it bad. We use words like modern. We use various words. We even use the word big, maha this, maha that, and so on. And we use rationalizations, right? Basically, we can say that anything that diverts from the original teachings of the Buddha of anicca, dukkha, anatta can be regarded as bad or at least not helpful. Right? So imagine if we see what the monks are doing today, we see them employed, salaried as lecturers. What's going on here? So, can you imagine Sariputta, Moggallana working in some university, taking a few $1,000s every month and then having their own house and who knows what else they do, right? So it's rather odd. It's rather odd because the idea of becoming a monk is renunciation, right? And then you have monks are fortune tellers, and this is really going backward, The very thing that the Buddha said don't do, and here they are doing it. So these are the dangers. You don't see them like the robbers out there, but they are right within amongst us. So it's a bit more tricky now. And so because of this, you find the good monks also do not say things out very much. And if you do tell the truth, then you have to be prepared to be sent to Coventry, to be blackballed, to be alienated, ostracized, right? So it's a difficult choice. So do you fear karma? Do you love the truth? So these are, in a sense, the choices are quite clear. We have to tell the truth so that the future, at least the future, will benefit, to be a better world to come. If we have the power, the ability, and the task to run an organization, some kind of project where we have the authority over a sizable number of people, well, so what kind of what will we do? What will be our task? Are we here in the position of authority, power, and so on? Are we going to please the rich, enrich the monks and nuns, promote ideas that ultimately will weaken and destroy Buddhism? Do we know that we are even doing that? We think that we're doing the right thing, but right in whose definition? Do we do things out of fear because we feel we do not want the majority, the powerful, to criticize us? The problem is many of these people, they work for, say, 1 or 2 years, you work as a president of a society, and then they disappear. You don't see them anymore. It's as if you don't know them anymore. This is one of the very strange phenomenon we see in Asian Buddhism. People think that you serve you serve time. You're like prisoners, so you serve time, and after that you don't have to do it anymore. It's not your job anymore. It's almost like a shame to step down as a president, to lose your post. It's not like that. You're doing Buddhist work, Dharma work. So whether you are having a status or not, whatever you say, whatever you do can bring wholesome and significant change to society right now and for the future. So this is something we have to think about, that a voice must be given to those who love the Dharma. A voice must be given to those who want to practice Buddhism as taught by the Buddha, not something hijacked by the gurus and the sectarians for their own benefit to confuse the people. We need to give this serious thought. So this is where the second part comes in, the more positive part when the good are strong. Section 7. Bhikshus, at a time when the king is powerful, the thieves are then weak. At that time, bhikshus, the king is at ease when returning to the city or departing, or when out inspecting the country. At that time, bhikshus, the Brahmins and housemasters too are at ease when returning to the city or departing, or when attending to their work outside. Even so, bhikshus, at a time when well-behaved monks are strong, bad monks are then weak. At that time, bhikshus, the bad monks only sit silently in the midst of the sangha, or on this and that account, that is, or they live for various paths. You can translate in two ways. No? These bhikshus is for the good of the many, for the happiness of the many, for the benefit of the people, for the good, for the happiness of devas and humans. So here we see the king, which is a very familiar authority in the Buddha's time. The kings were becoming very powerful. Kingdoms and empires were replacing the old republican system. You can say Asoka's empire started at that time. The roots of empire started then. And the king here, in a sense, represents the Dharma, if you like. So if the Dharma is strong, then the good have a chance to prosper. It's easier to be good, in other words. So the monks are reminded here that they are the beacons of good practitioners. They are the exemplars. If they behave well, then we are likely to follow. Now we can think in reverse. Think out of the box. We can influence the monks too by studying the suttas, understanding the suttas, and telling the monks in no uncertain terms that we want them to behave, we want them to be good, because we need them to preserve the Dharma. And I think the Sutta Discovery, even our Facebook, is doing something like that, because we do occasionally write some very open, honest, and hopefully inspiring reflections that we know very well the monks and nuns are actually reading them. And occasionally, when it needs be, we do pick a quarrel with the monks and nuns too. Of course, not an easy thing to quarrel with a monk and a nun. You've got to make sure that you're knowing what you're saying. I had this very difficult time with a nun who is often on Facebook, all smiling all the time. I call that the money smile, because it attracts lots of support from the world. Basically, you know the suttas, you know the Vinaya. Monks and nuns don't do that. We don't go around flashing smile everywhere and put pictures of ourselves again and again on Facebook like a layman. So I told her so. She got very upset and kind of told me told me off. He said, I'm jealous, and so on. And said, well, are you angry? He said, no, I'm not angry, I'm happy. I said, wow, we have another problem there. We have a problem of denial and what's called psychological dissonance. So after I've given a talk like that, an interaction like that, I've given my say. I said, that's it. I'm not going to stay with your Facebook anymore. I just leave it because something very negative. But the message is sent. So if she doesn't see it that way, then okay, that's too bad. I've done my part. So sometimes we have to speak up. And we should not be afraid to do so. Then we will die cowards. We may say something we think people may get upset with, but in time, when they look back, they will say, yeah, he said the right thing. So in other words, it is better to be unliked for saying the right thing, unloved for saying the right thing, than to be loved for saying the wrong things, because ultimately we will destroy each other. So this is what the suttas are telling us. The sutta on robbers, on thieves and kings, the Chora Raja Sutta, set a good example, monks and nuns. The lay people will follow. Then you have this wonderful high quality Dhamma. And it is also the task of the lay followers to remind the monks and nuns of their task. So lay people too must know the Dhamma through the suttas. So this is a very timely reminder for us. So do reflect on this sutta.